everybody, hope you're having an awesome day today. My video today is in honor of my ridiculous new hair color. I thought I would do a hair tutorial. A couple of weeks ago I did the rainbow tag, or the colors of the rainbow tag, whatever it was called, and I had my hair in a really soft curl, and lots of you asked how I achieved that, and I used this. It's a 1.5-inch barrel clampless curling iron from QT Performance. I got mine from flatironexperts.com. So today's tutorial is using this, and if you'd like to find out how to do your hair like this, keep on watching. Starting out, you're going to need some heat protectant, and I love this one from CPR, and you'll also need a little hair clamp. And you're going to want to clamp your hair into a top section and a bottom section. Next, you can spray away with your heat protectant. So give it a good couple sprays, and I like to do this with pretty much every layer whenever I do any heat tools on my hair. Make sure your hair is split in half, so half on one side, half on the other, and then you're going to take about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide section of hair. Make sure that it's flattened, like don't have it all twisty and yucky, have it nice and flat. And pick up your curling iron, and what I like to do is I like to wrap my elbow around the wire and bring it to the back. So you're going above and down and under instead of coming from this angle, because I find that this angle I get burnt a lot. So wrap the cord around your elbow and then wrap around and away from your face. Now I have to be careful because I have extensions in, so I can't let the bonds touch the heat, but if you do not have extensions in, then you are able to wind the iron right up to your head. So I'm going to let it sit for just a second and then let it out, and it creates a bouncy curl. And when you let it out, I like to flip it the way that the curl is going so that it cools with the curl in its shape. And please do remember, if you have fine hair, don't put it on the hottest setting. Like, the hottest setting is meant for ridiculously coarse, thick hair, so you don't need it on the hottest setting, especially with hair that is thin. So there is the second little curl. As you can see, I also did catch the curl as it came out. You can do that as well, and it kind of cools off in your hand, allowing it to cool in that curling shape a little bit better. So let me show you that again. Grabbing another strand from behind, wrapping it around, letting it sit for a couple seconds. I still have nightmares of that chick on YouTube where her hair falls off in her hand. Like, do you guys ever think of that video? I do. Anyway, so you let it slide out and you just hold it in your hand. And if it cools off in your hand just for a second, as you let it out, you can see that it has a really nice curl to it. So, tossing it behind my head and continuing on with the rest of my head. So there is one side. You can see that you lose a bit of the length, but that's alright because you have pretty curls. After your first layer is done, take down your second layer, spray it with some heat protectant, and give it a brush through. Now, with my upper layer, it's a little bit different as opposed to somebody that A, doesn't have such strong layers in their hair, and B, doesn't have extensions. I'll show you why in just a sec. So I do the same as I did before. I split it into the 2 different sections, but as you can see, where my hair actually is compared to the extension, so I have one layer that is right here, and I have a row of extensions directly under. What I'm going to do is I am going to try and curl that separately, just because this bit right here looks really wonky and super big and puffy when I curl it, as well as I don't want to get these bonds caught up in the heat. That would be really bad, and I just want to avoid that. So typically what I try and do is just lift this up and over and pin it on that side. And you can put your bangs in there too, actually, if that works. That'll work for me just as well. Putting my fringe or my bangs up in there, and then grabbing the second layer. And now this will work as well if you do have really strong layers, but if you have your hair all one length, then don't even bother doing that step. Just curl along like normal. Now you guys might have noticed that I am curling all of my curls away from my face, so when I curl, I bring it back and away. I have a little curled piece in here, and I mean, it's totally personal preference. You don't have to do it that way, but I just like the way that it looks. I will say though that it does look a little bit more flattering on most face shapes if the front pieces, like right next to your face, if those curl away from your face. But just my personal preference. Okay, so taking the clip out, let's figure out what to do with this little top layer. So usually I just can get away with leaving it, and especially if it's a little bit messier like this, you won't even notice through there if you leave it. But if you did want, you could also take a GHD and just slightly curl in the bottoms. Or you could take the iron and just slightly pull it through like that. But I mean, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I feel like it's gonna blend really well anyway. Okay, for the bangs. Most people find bangs to be the absolute hardest part of curling your hair, which I think is so silly because it doesn't have to be. There's several different ways that you can do it, but this is probably my favorite way. I'll show you both though. The first one is I just grab my little chunk and I take a brush and I make sure to brush all of these little tiny baby hairs into that grab of hair, and obviously make sure there's no extension bonds in the way. Take your iron and at that kind of a degree angle, kind of a 45 degree, wrap your hair around it and just let it sit and gently push the iron through your hair. Now you gotta be careful that you don't burn your bottom fingers, but when you push your way through, it kind of flicks it out and back. So that is how I do it sometimes, and like that's how it turns out. I mean, you can do it several times to make it more curly or less curly, but I find that typically that just gives it a good little flick back. What you could also do is, if I can set that down, stay. My makeup counter is so messy and I have like really little room to put stuff on it. You can collect all of your bangs or fringe up this way. And I like to usually generally do this with a GHD and like flatten it backwards, but you can also wrap it around here and just do one big wrap. Let it sit for a minute and wind it backwards and out, and then it flicks it back forward. And it gives you a little bit of volume, as you can see, and it flicks those pieces back. So it really depends on what works for you and your hair type and what type of style you're going for. But those are two really good ways that you can easily do your bangs. Before I add any product or brush through my curls or anything, I'm gonna add some clip-in extensions. And these ones are from Bellamy, and I have an entire set of these, but I decided to dye 2 of them this color. Well, I actually didn't even dye them, I used a pink shampoo, but anyways, I have them this pink color and I pre-curled them doing the exact same thing with the same curling iron. I did a 3-clip set, so one with 3 clips as well as one with 4 clips. So the one with 4 clips I'm going to put around the back directly at my ear level. I'm going to put the one with 3 clips just below ear level. So popping it in, I don't know if you guys will be able to see very well, but putting it in and just clipping it over, it is so easy, and the clips are really strong, they stay in really well. So that, and then you take the next layer down, and we'll brush it all through at the end to make sure that it blends, and we'll just quickly pop that in. Now that that's in, I can go ahead and spray it with some shine spray. And I'm also going to take my brush and lightly brush through the bottoms. After you've brushed everything out to your liking, set it with your favorite hairspray. Mine is this El May one. And I always lift my bangs back and puff my hair up and spray. I don't know why. So these are my finished curls with the 1.5 inch QT clampless curling iron. That was like the biggest mouthful ever. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I'd like to sneak in a sneaky giveaway. If you guys would like to win the exact same curling iron that I used in this tutorial, please leave me a comment down below letting me know if you could dye your hair any color, what would it be? And make sure you have your parents' permission if you're under 18. And you will be in the running to win a QT Performance 1.5 inch clampless curling iron from Flat Iron Experts. And a big thank you to Flat Iron Experts, who are sponsoring this giveaway. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Don't forget, I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and all of my links are always down below. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!